The morning sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my apartment, glinting off the rim of my coffee cup as I skimmed through the day's emails. Everything looked clean, in order, the way I liked it. Crisp white walls, fresh tulips on the counter, the faint hum of the city below. You'd never guess that the woman behind this perfect view once had her credit ruined for love, or something close to it. My phone buzzed on the marble counter. The name flashing across the screen froze me mid-sip. Lydia. My sister. After 5 years of silence. I let the phone ring until it stopped, the sound echoing in the quiet like an accusation. My heart thudded, heavy and familiar, the kind of ache that once kept me awake at night. I hadn't heard her name since the morning she vanished, leaving me to deal with a $65,000 loan I co-signed out of sisterly trust and stupid optimism. Now, suddenly, she was back, or trying to be. I walked to the window, tracing a finger along the cool glass, watching a yellow cab blur past below. Somewhere out there, Lydia was living with a story she thought I'd never uncover. I smiled, small and deliberate. People always said I was too forgiving. They didn't know I'd already claimed what she left behind. 5 years ago, I was sitting at my kitchen table in a tiny one-bedroom apartment, the kind where the walls smelled faintly of paint and desperation. Lydia was across from me, her eyes red but shining with excitement. She'd been engaged for 3 months to a man named Trevor, a corporate type with a tan that looked more expensive than my rent. "Emily, please," she said, voice trembling just enough to sound fragile. "The bank won't approve the wedding loan unless I have a cosigner. It's just paperwork. Trevor and I will handle the payments." I wanted to believe her, the same way I always did. Lydia was the golden one. Beautiful, fearless, the kind of woman who could talk her way into anything. I was the responsible sister, the one with a steady job and a savings account. That made me useful. "I don't know, LYD," I said softly, tracing the rim of my mug. $65,000 is a lot of money. She reached across the table, her manicured fingers wrapping around mine. "You're my only sister. You know I'd do it for you." That line hit deep. Our mother used to say the same thing. Family means faith, even when it's hard. She'd passed away 5 years before that, leaving us her silver charm bracelet, engraved with a single word: trust. Lydia wore it now, and when the light hit it, it glimmered like a promise. So I signed. My hand shook, but I smiled for her anyway. For a while, it seemed worth it. The wedding planner visits, the dress fittings, the champagne-soaked countdown to her big day. But the night before the wedding, Lydia called me, whispering through the static of a late-night line. "I can't do this, Em. Don't hate me." And just like that, she was gone. The next morning, the venue was empty. The groom bewildered. The guests humiliated. And I was left with a $65,000 loan in my name and a sister who had vanished before sunrise. I remember sitting alone in that same kitchen, staring at the charm bracelet she'd left behind. The word trust caught the morning light, and I swore it mocked me. That was the day I stopped believing in promises. The first few months after Lydia disappeared were a blur of debt notices, sleepless nights, and the steady hum of survival. I sold nearly everything that wasn't essential: furniture, jewelry, even Mom's old record player. I kept only the charm bracelet. It felt like the last thread connecting me to something real, even if it burned to touch it. I worked days as a receptionist at a real estate firm and nights as a delivery dispatcher, drinking too much coffee and pretending exhaustion was a personality trait. Every time the phone rang from an unknown number, I braced myself for another reminder that I was legally responsible for the unpaid balance. One afternoon, my boss, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Karen Whitmore, called me into her office. She was the kind of woman who wore confidence like perfume, subtle but impossible to ignore. "You've got a good head for numbers," she said, flipping through a client file. "And you actually listen to people. Ever thought about getting your real estate license?" I almost laughed. "On what time, Karen? Between my shifts or my breakdowns?" She smiled, sliding a brochure across the desk. "Start somewhere. You're better than this desk." It was the first time anyone had said I was better than something in months. So I did it. I studied on my lunch breaks, listened to exam prep podcasts while I drove deliveries, and practiced client pitches in the mirror. When I finally passed my licensing exam, I cried, not from joy, but from sheer disbelief that something was finally going right. The first few listings were disasters, flaky clients, missed offers, deals that died at the finish line. But I learned. I adapted. Every failure sharpened me. And one day, I closed my first major sale, a modest colonial-style house on Elmwood Avenue. When the check cleared, I walked into the empty living room, the echo of my footsteps bouncing off the hardwood floors. I sat down right in the middle of the room and whispered, "You did this, Em." I bought that same house 6 months later, the one Lydia and Trevor were supposed to start their life in. The irony wasn't lost on me. Business grew from there. Karen became my mentor, introducing me to investors, developers, and opportunities one never imagined having. Within 4 years, I wasn't just selling homes, I was flipping them. I built a small but powerful network, invested smart, and learned how to turn loss into leverage. I stopped posting about my life online. Let people think I was doing okay. I preferred quiet success, the kind that didn't need applause. Still, every once in a while, I'd catch the silver glint of that charm bracelet on my wrist and wonder where Lydia had run to, if she ever thought about the sister she left behind with her debts and her ghost promises. I hoped she'd never have to find out just how far I'd risen from the ashes she left me in. It happened on a Tuesday morning, the kind of day that felt too ordinary to carry a storm. I was in my office, a sunlit corner space overlooking downtown Chicago. Soft jazz played in the background, and a vase of white lilies perfumed the air. My assistant had just left a stack of property portfolios on my desk when she peeked back through the door. "Miss Carter," she said carefully, "there's someone here to see you. She says she's your sister." My heart stalled. 5 years, and just like that, Lydia Carter was standing in my lobby. "Send her in," I said, my voice calm, maybe too calm. When Lydia walked through the door, I barely recognized her. Her hair was darker, shorter. The sparkle she once carried like armor was gone, replaced by a nervous fidgeting of her fingers. She looked smaller somehow, not in height, but in certainty. She whispered, her eyes darting around the room.
"Wow.
This place, it's beautiful." "Thank you," I said, leaning back in my chair. "It's mine." She blinked, confusion flickering across her face. "You own this company?" I smiled politely. "Among other things." Silence stretched between us, heavy with everything unsaid. She shifted her weight, looking down at her chipped nail polish, something she used to mock me for noticing. "I came because I need help," she finally said. "The bank's threatening to take the house. Trevor left me. I don't know where else to go." I studied her carefully. "The same house you took a $65,000 loan for? The one I paid off after you disappeared." Her lips parted, but no sound came out. The color drained from her face. "I didn't know," she murmured. "I thought they said the cosigner." "The cosigner became the owner," I interrupted gently. "It's been in my name for 4 years now." She stared at me, wide-eyed. "You bought it?" "No," I said softly. "I claimed it." The room fell silent except for the ticking of the wall clock. I stood and walked to the large window behind my desk, the city sprawling out below us. "You left me to drown in your mess, Lydia. You didn't even call. Do you know what that does to a person?" "I was scared," she said, her voice cracking. "I thought if I ran, it would all go away." I turned to face her, the light catching the silver bracelet on my wrist. It didn't go away. I made it mine. Every bill, every sleepless night, every insult from a banker, I turned it into something you couldn't imagine. Her eyes filled with tears. "You're right. I can't imagine. I don't even recognize you anymore." "That's because you're looking for the sister who signed her name under yours," I said. "She doesn't exist." I walked past her to the small bar cart in the corner and poured 2 glasses of water. My hands didn't shake this time. "You wanted a house," I continued. "Now it's mine. You wanted a future. I built one. And now you're here, asking me for help." So tell me, Lydia. I placed a glass in front of her. What are you offering in return? Her tears fell freely now. A chance to make it right? For a long moment, I said nothing. The sunlight hit the charm bracelet again, throwing a soft reflection on the desk between us. Maybe, I said finally, but not the way you think. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't revenge. This was revelation. I let Lydia sit there in silence, her shoulders trembling as she tried to collect herself. The woman across from me wasn't the confident, reckless sister I'd grown up chasing after. She looked like someone who'd finally hit the bottom, the kind of bottom that forces you to face the mirror. I'm not here to punish you, I said softly, taking a seat again. But if I'm going to help, there have to be conditions. She nodded quickly, almost too quickly. Anything. I'll do anything. I leaned forward, folding my hands. First, you get a job.
Any job.
Not something glamorous, something steady. You'll start rebuilding your own credit, not borrowing from anyone else's. Her lips trembled.
Okay.
I can do that. Second, I continued, you'll take financial counseling. Every cent you spend, you'll track it. You'll learn what interest means, what debt does, and why promises matter. Lydia swallowed hard, her eyes glistening. I understand. Third, I said, my tone firm but gentle, you'll sell the engagement ring. The one from Trevor. Use it to pay down the remaining costs on the loan. Closure doesn't come free. That one hit her. I could see it in the way her breath caught, the way her fingers clenched on her lap. That ring was the only thing I kept. Then it's time to let it go, I replied. You kept the symbol of your escape, while I carried the cost of it. It's my turn to stop carrying it for you. Lydia looked away, tears spilling freely now. You're right. You're absolutely right. I paused, then added softly. And one more thing. You'll volunteer somewhere. Maybe a shelter, or a rehab program. Meet people who've lost everything and still get up in the morning. You'll learn what rebuilding really looks like. She nodded slowly, as if each word sank deep into her chest. I don't want her money, Em, she said after a long moment. I just want you to forgive me. I exhaled, long and quiet. Forgiveness isn't a switch, Lydia. It's work for both of us. But I'm willing to try if you are. She reached across the desk, hesitating before her fingers brushed mine. For the first time in years, the touch didn't sting. I don't deserve your kindness, she whispered. No, I said, meeting her eyes. But you deserve a chance to grow. And I deserve peace. For the first time since she walked in, the air between us softened. It wasn't warm yet, but it wasn't cold either. I stood, signaling the end of the meeting. Come back next week. I'll help you draw up a plan. But understand this, Lydia, the house stays mine. It's the one thing I earned through all the pain you left me. She nodded, her tears replaced by something I hadn't seen in her eyes for years, humility. And maybe, just maybe, a spark of change. Over the next few months, Lydia kept her word. I didn't expect her to, not at first, but she did. She found a job at a local floral shop, arranging bouquets for people whose love stories hadn't crumbled like ours. She sent me her budget sheets every Friday, neat and color-coded, a habit that made me smile despite myself. Once a week, she stopped by my office for coffee. At first, the visits were awkward, two strangers learning how to speak again after years of silence. But slowly, the walls began to crack. We talked about Mom, about the summers we spent catching fireflies in the backyard, about the parts of us that existed before betrayal had a name. One afternoon, she brought me a small white box tied with a gold ribbon. It's not much, she said, setting it on my desk. Just something I thought you should have. Inside was Mom's silver charm bracelet, the one I thought Lydia had lost years ago. The engraving had faded a little, but the word trust still shimmered faintly under the light. I found it in one of my old suitcases, Lydia said quietly. You kept my house. I kept your faith. Maybe it's time to trade back. My throat tightened. For the first time in years, I reached across and hugged her, not out of duty, but because the space between us finally felt human again. It wasn't perfect. We still had moments where the past flickered between us, small reminders of what had broken. But there was something else now, too. Accountability.
Growth.
The kind of fragile love that doesn't need grand gestures, just quiet effort. One Saturday, I visited the Elmwood house alone. The sun slanted across the porch, the same one Lydia once dreamed of decorating with fairy lights. I ran my fingers along the doorframe, the same wood I'd sanded myself when I bought it. It no longer felt like a monument to betrayal, it felt like closure. I fastened the bracelet on my wrist again. The metal was cool, but not cold. Mom used to say family means faith, even when it's hard. I finally understood what she meant. Faith wasn't about signing papers or saving someone from their mistakes. It was about believing that even after the storm, people can choose to rebuild. As I locked the door behind me, I whispered to the empty house. Some debts break you. Others build you. Mine built me a home no one can take away.